right, back here on Breakfast Television, you see the gear here. We are talking about something very important right now, backcountry skiing. My man Dave Norona, pro adventure athlete, joining us right now, and a lot of people going up to the mountains right now. Safety a big concern. I want to get into, what is backcountry skiing?
Well, it's important to touch on this subject because when you're skiing at a resort, say Grouse, Seymour, Cypress, we don't want people going out of bounds. And out of bounds is distinctively different than the backcountry. And that is where avalanche professionals and ski patrol set ropes up. They can't manage that terrain, so no one should be back there. The backcountry is a lot different. These are areas that we can access off the Sea to Sky Highway. We can access them out of Whistler and a lot of other areas throughout BC. And this is some of the equipment that you use. And the important thing, I think, the message of today is no one should be going into the backcountry without the proper gear and the knowledge. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of tragic events over the last few months, and those will continue until more and more people get on board with the education. And unfortunately, you know, accidents will always happen, but education and learning the gear and the knowledge by taking an avalanche skills course is the way to avoid some of those accidents, which I think is important.
And when we're getting up to speed on the gear itself, now how does the gear differ from just regular skiing to the backcountry stuff?
Great question. And right here we have a ski with, which isn't really different than what you'd ski on, say, Grouse or Whistler or anywhere you'd ski in the interior, except the binding is quite different. And this is an Alpine Touring binding. So it is just like an Alpine Touring binding. However, when you're in the backcountry, there's no chairlift. So what we're going to do is we just put this piece at the back here up, and it releases the heel. And now we can walk uphill on that same binding. And when we get to the top, we just put it down, and then we're back into Alpine mode. And what we do, we put on the bottom is we put these skins. And this skin stretches from the tip to the tail, and it will smooth one way, and it isn't smooth the other way. So you won't move backwards. And that's the biggest difference with the backcountry gear. Now, as it changes, everything changes a little bit as far as the boots. Now, this looks like a typical Alpine boot. The difference is it's a lot lighter. And it also has a walk feature in it. So when you're climbing, you hit this little button on the back right here, and it allows you to walk efficiently uphill. And then you get to the top, you click this button down, it turns into an Alpine boot, and now you've got your Alpine setup at the top of the hill. It
seems like there's a lot more physicality involved with this. We see, you know, sloping down the mountains right there. Physical conditioning, have to be in much better shape to do the backcountry stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of this is that touring is one of the greatest exercises because it's like hiking in the mountains. And you get to areas just like this where you get fresh snow. And unfortunately, this is also what makes it so alluring to get into the backcountry. And that's why the knowledge and choosing where you're going to go is so important, by reading avalanche forecasts. And because when you get up to the top of a hill and it's all powdery, sometimes it's so easy to forget how dangerous that slope can be. And this is what we're talking about, the human element. We really need to get people to decide ahead of time where they're going to go, what type of slopes they're going to ski, and they do that by reading the avalanche bulletin, the forecast, talking to other people who've been up in the mountains, and that way you can do it. You can do it every day in the backcountry safely. But you do need the knowledge to do that, because in a resort, we have people managing that for us. And in the backcountry, we have to manage it ourselves. So we needed some of this gear.
A great website is adventuresmart.ca for those kind of tips, right?
Right. Adventuresmart.ca is an area where they can learn everything when you go into the backcountry, what you need to carry, and it also lists a lot of other websites to get to as well.
Okay, can we quickly get to some of the safety gear as we touch on that right now?
Right, and these are the most important pieces of safety gear. This is an avalanche transceiver right here, and so you would wear one, and I would wear one, and it's transmitting all the time. However, if you get lost in an avalanche, I quickly push this red button and hold it down until it says search. And now it's searching for this beacon, and you can see the noise as it gets louder. And then when I find you, we can then pinpoint you using a probe, which is right next to you there. And that's a probe all folded up. I'll hold this one because we've ahead of time, we've put this up. And a probe is just a long pole that we can then use to pinpoint the person who's under the snow. Because obviously we can't see them. If we can see them, we could easily just dig them out. We don't even need a beacon. We use this, and when we hit something hard, we celebrate. And then what we do is if we're a bunch of people, we would have put our shovels together out of our pack, and then we would have our shovels out. And these shovels extend. So now we've got our long aluminum shovel, and we start digging. And this is the hardest thing to do, because avalanche snow is not fluffy and powdery that we've been skiing. It's warmed up snow that's literally turned into ice. So you want a real aluminum, hard, shovel that can cut through that ice and snow and get to the person as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Very good tips, my man. I want to throw up the website really quick. If you guys want to find out more about backcountry skiing, take a look at the website on the screen. We're coming back a little later on the show and talk about snowshoeing, are we not?
We are.
I love it. It's an outdoor adventure here on Breakfast Television. An outdoor adventure on the roads too. Michelle, how are the streets look?